My name's Michel Vrana, and I'm a book designer, originally from Montreal, now living in Toronto. We're going to talk now about This Cake is for the Party. It's a collection of short stories by Selecky. It was released, I think, 3 years ago now, by Thomas Allen. And this was the second book that I worked with Thomas Allen on after The Last Shot. Originally, the first idea I had was to do an icing cover. Actually, I wouldn't have done it, but I would have gotten a cake decorator to write out the title based on type that I'd selected onto a cake. Another idea was an incomplete paint by numbers, which was, in all honesty, an idea that I'd wanted to do for a long time, work with a paint by numbers. This wasn't the book that was right for it. I ended up using that concept for Joanna Scribbs did. And I think there was another idea of a garbage can with a piece of cake in it that got nixed pretty early on. Some publishers actually just want to see what you're going to choose rather than, well, let's see 3 ideas, which invariably are one that you really like and then a couple that you're putting in the mix that you hope are going to be good enough that if they get picked that you're not going to be embarrassed. At least that's how it works for me. Sometimes you come up with maybe two or three ideas that you really like, but there's always going to be the one that's your favorite. And I think that by virtue of it being your favorite, there's always going to be a little bit of extra care taken on it, even if you're trying to be impartial. So we focused at the beginning on the idea of the icing, a cake with a broken plate underneath, which was by a very talented photographer I'd found at a high-end stock photography company, and then just a broken plate. And I kind of got in my head that just the plate was working better than the cake because I wanted there to be cake on the cover without there being cake on the cover. And that took a little bit of selling to the publisher, but he started getting it. Another idea was a spilled wine, but a lot of it was about things that have been planned one way and then go another, which is what a lot of the themes in the book are about. Disappointment and getting really prepared for something and it just not going your way. I found early on that maybe when I was really attached to a design, it'd be disappointing if it wasn't chosen. And after a few times that sometimes the ones you want get chosen, sometimes you don't get what you want, you kind of get used to it and know, well, there'll be another one coming up. So make the best of each one, make them look as good as can be, and wait for the next assignment. For these comps, it was just Photoshop. I found a stock photo of a plate, cut it up, stuck it back together. Then I went to a high-end kitchen place and bought some expensive plates and smashed them. And I did, I think, 2 or 3 before I found a pattern that I kind of liked. And again, playing with the idea of no cake, a little bit of cake, and then just some crumbs. And that's what we ended up with on the final cover, was just this smattering of crumbs to kind of give a little bit of hope of things have not gone entirely to plan, but you still managed to push through and do something. And of course the final color was decided upon, and it's quite a bit less bright than this original cyan, a little bit more of a what Sarah described as a Martha Stewart blue, or maybe like a Tiffany box blue. We wanted something that was pretty, but also gave enough contrast so that the white plate would jump out. It's fun to be able to play with finishes. I mean, there's not always a budget for that, but I think that in this day and age, when we're really trying to make sure that print books stand out, those extra little bits of fit and polish resonate with readers. You know, people who go to bookstores, they understand that tactile quality of a book, and you know, you're really speaking to that kind of reader, not only somebody who's literate, but somebody who likes the book as an object.